Jason, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, mate.
You've completed 19 Ironmans. What does it take to become an Ironman?
Well, what does it take? Well, first of all, it takes, I guess, mental preparation and motivation. I think the training side of things is secondary to those two. Motivation's a big one. If a lot of people start off with motivation, and it's always up here, starts high, and they have that goal of I want to complete an Ironman, and it's easy to have at the start, and you can have a bit of preparation in plan and say, yep, this is where I want to be in 6 months' time. But as life takes you in different directions and you get sick or you get injured or whatever, and as you start getting fitter, it gets more training you put in, you tend to lose that motivation, and it can be a slippery slope. So to be an Ironman, 100%, it's motivation is one. You got to be able to have it, and definitely that mental side of things is number two, close to.
What kept you most motivated during those 19 Ironmans? That's a long time. That's 19 seasons.
Yeah, 100%. During those 19 seasons, it started out that, as I mentioned, my motivation was super high. I was 2009, January 2009. I remember because I was an ex-police officer and I went running after some guy and couldn't catch him. I was so unfit. I ate McDonald's. I lift weights and I just looked like a slob. I just thought I wanted to lose some weight. Part of that losing weight is somebody introduced me to riding a push bike, which was a young girl named Kim Eastman. So there's quite a few things in life that have changed my life. A few things, inflection points, and she was one of them. She said, "Get a bike and come riding with me." I went riding with her for 50 k's, and I thought I can do this. 50 k's is nothing on a push bike. But I got to about 40 k's, and I was absolutely cooked. And this girl, she dropped me. And I barely made the last 10 Ks, and I made it to her front driveway, and I just laid out in the driveway. And that was the biggest motivator of all, was the motivator of get fit, lose weight, look good, and stay youthful as long as you can. That single one event has kept me going for 17 seasons, just that one single event.
Do you think that's pretty common amongst young people, those goals? Wanting to look fit, be able to perform?
Yep, 100%.
We see a massive increase now in people competing in Ironmans. Have you heard of Luke Hopkins?
Yeah, I've heard of Luke. Yes.
There's a thing of a Luke Hopkins effect of these young people seeing
Yes.
a young guy, I believe he's 22, 23,
Yes.
and he's doing an Ironman. He's done about 4 or 5 now, I believe, and people are just following that trend.
Yeah, no, you're dead right. And you can even probably line up some statistics on this. When I first started, the guys that are winning and doing the best were always 30, mid-30s. People realizing the same thing that I was realizing, want to get fit, and they're in their mid-30s and thinking, no, I want to do something different. Football's getting a bit hard, injuries resulting from that. So you usually came into the sport as a footballer, as a soccer player, or some sort of team sport, but now they are coming in right now as 20-year-olds, as coming in as triathletes. So they're not bounding from another sport. They're actually coming in at an early age as a triathlete. So there's a different trend. There's an old saying, you can swim 3.8, ride 180, run 42.2 and brag for the rest of your life. And it's got that sort of FOMO to it. Like people, when they hear that and they think the fear of missing out now and waiting to the 30s is gone. Actually, it's just starting off now. See, 18-year-olds are commonly doing it now. Like the 18-year-old field used to be very small, maybe 10 at a race. Now you're up to 100 easy, 100, 150 in that sort of 18 to 24-year-old field.
I certainly think people within my generation, you're seeing more and more go towards the athletic pursuit over going clubbing or going out and drinking.
Yep.
A lot of my mates now going to bed at 9, up at 5 a.m. so that they go attend a run club instead of going out and clubbing.
Yes. Yep, 100%. And you definitely see it. And you see it when you go on racing. It doesn't matter if it's long course or short course. The fields And that's another reason why the fields are getting quicker as well. These young guys are coming in, and the average times are coming way down. Is because it's no longer, like you mentioned, we'll just do it for fun. These guys are coming in straight from the get-go of maybe being a young teen doing the swimming club, going into a bit of cycling, and they've built up some sort of big endurance engine. And it's straight. It's not here where I started, and then slowly coming up. They're already at that level when they come in. So could be a bit of testosterone in it as well, but yeah, it's a different beast from 2009 when I started.
We've spoken about motivation already, and that has kept you in it for the 19 seasons, 20 odd seasons. What's the toll? What's the price you pay for doing that many or even competing in a small few?
Yeah, when I first started, and I've learned the longevity is the key. And you think, like you're saying, the toll is what stops longevity. And I found at the start, when I first started, I read magazines and I thought, okay, I used to fall for the spiel that coaches used to put in there. Okay, you have to train 7 to 10K a week in the pool. You have to go minimum 200 to 400Ks a week on the bike, and then, get that 80K run in every week of volume. So I started doing that, and the toll that took for the first couple of seasons were, fitness skyrocketed. But as you know, the fitter you are, the more fatigue you are, more it has on your immune system. There's that really, really fine balance. And for give you an idea, I've had shingles as a result of completing an Ironman. I raced an Ironman with pneumonia one year. That was because to the lead up, I just completely destroyed myself. I've had numerous calf injuries, other niggles, mental burnout where I couldn't get off the couch for 2 weeks. So yes, and that's a probably stock standard toll. Most guys will tell you the good side of things of, I completed 5 Ironmans and I've been to the World Championships, but they won't tell you the in-betweens and what you're saying with what the toll has been on them during that period. And nobody likes to talk about the negatives too much. But I find that now the toll has got way less after I discovered a better system of doing stuff. Like, okay, the first 5-6 years was all volume, no speed, and just week in, week out, don't stop, hardly any sleep, fatigue. And then I turned that on its head and said, you know what, there's got to be a better way. And I looked into a person named Robert Wolf, and he had just a template of what's the best way to stay long as you can in the sport and get the same sort of benefits. And he cut training down from maybe the typical 20-25 hours down to about 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours. And I've never I've never changed since. And as a result of going back to 10 to 12 hours with strength training, I've cut, as I mentioned, that what the toll takes on your body, I cut that out to maybe instead of every season being completely shattered and not being able to get off the couch, to that happens very rarely now. So I think from 2016, I haven't trained really over a 15, 16-hour week. I've cut it all. I think my last Ironman was only a 10-hour week, quite consistently. And as a result, you get maybe the 3/4 of a result of that what you would if you train the 25 hours. But the after effect is where you get the biggest bang for your buck. There's no burnout, no injury, no niggles, no nothing.
I think that's an interesting topic because you've obviously lowered your exercise load amount in your body. Do you think that would have worked early on in your career, the 10-hour weeks? Obviously, you've been through season after season after season of accumulating load of your body, accumulating to these stresses. Do you think your body would have reacted the same way and you had been as successful doing a 10-hour week in season one rather than your high volumes?
Good question. I say maybe not. I'd say it's very true that zone 2 base building phase is probably the best for any sort of starter. into the sport. As you know, that sort of zone 2 builds strength through your bone density, through your tendons, your muscles. It helps the heart in relation to that volume stroke it has, which you can't get through high intensity. That, that more high intensity is good for that central nervous system hit and that exchange of oxygen at the lungs and at the cells for CO2, that gas exchange. But no, you're probably better off doing the easy stuff. Maybe your first season, you probably wouldn't have a structured plan and you just go easy nearly every session. And then your next couple of seasons, you could probably build with the odd high intensity. But after maybe third season, you could cut right down. And most people would probably benefit. If you're not a professional and you're just an age grouper, you'd probably benefit with that lifestyle because you'd have time for your kids, time to recover better. You wouldn't get that mental burnout. And believe it or not, with the 3 years or so seasons behind you, you'd probably find there'd be no difference in performance.
You mentioned at the beginning, the one thing that kept you going was obviously wanting to be fit,
Yeah.
wanting to improve just you as a person. What did it mean to you when you first became an Ironman compared to what it means now? Is there any difference in emotions when you crossed the line the first time compared to the 17th?
Yeah, definitely that first time was trying to prove think because I had 3 young kids at the time, I wanted to prove to them, not only to them that if you devote yourself to an ideal and you don't let anyone stopping you, you can become an Ironman. Did fall for, and which is, I don't think the right word falling for, but I did look at the hype of the event and I thought, that's those distances are impossible. Like that, when something blows your mind. And I wanted to prove to not only my kids, but I guess I wanted to prove to the outside community, work, friends, and anything that you can do it if you put your mind to it. And, you devote yourself, like I said, just to sticking to a plan, being consistent. I guess could be a bit of an ego thing. Like it makes you happy inside that you can show somebody like, hey, look what I can do if I put my mind to it. I can achieve anything. Compared to now, it's more of a, like after my 19th, it's more of a sort of like a requalification, as you could say, a bit like in the police, you'd have to requalify once a year for your firearms training, or in the Far East, you'd have to qualify a certain amount of hours to keep your breathing apparatus training up. It was more of a qualification thing. It's like every year I've got to put myself through something hard where it's mentally tough and physically tough. And I think that helps me through life. So when something does get hard, like work or like when life goes certain ways that you weren't expecting, that resilience that you get from training once a year to build up to this event helps you progress in life. So totally, it 100% switched through that period of time.
You've touched on a point there about almost inner monologue of when something gets tough, you remember that.
Yes.
Are there many inner voices when you do compete or while you're training heading into the race? And what do those little voices say?
Yeah. At the start, when I first started, it was okay, just start out wide. You're not the best swimmer because if you get knocked here, it's going to be awful and you just don't want to have a bad day. And you're always nervous. Okay, I'll take a gel when I get off the bike. So you'd have all these really like these thoughts of like, okay, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. Don't forget this when you get off. So racing through your head, all this planning. Now the thoughts coming towards the end, more of my thoughts was like, you know what? Have fun. Okay, you're standing on the line. Talk to the next guy next to you. Have fun. Take whatever you got to do. Don't even think about the run like you used to think about what gels you're going to take where and whatever. Have fun. Talk to the guy. See how he's doing. Think, okay, I'm just going to have a nice swim today, and don't even think past that. So the mindset, I never have a negative mindset, but it's changed from massive planning to just like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy the day. That's it.
For young people coming through now, competing in Ironmans, perhaps going into their first, second, third Ironman, when did that mindset change? When was it, I'm stressed, to I'm pretty comfortable. I can have a smile and I can have a laugh about it.
Yeah, that doesn't, yeah, I'd say for me, it was about, or easily about five Ironman in. And what makes it worse, and I've even seen it with young guys, is first season, they're here. Second season, they go, whoa, geez. Yep. And then the third season, they're like, geez, I've just cracked a personal best by another half an hour. It went from 10-minute personal best. I've cracked it. Now I'm down to like low 9 hours. And that's where the mindset probably starts getting even worse. So they're now being so hyper focused, everything becomes about training. I think, and it happened for me too. Third season or third, fourth season, I went 9:30, and I thought, oh, this mate, I'll get down to low nines, even sub 9, if I keep training this way. But that's where you start, as you know, you can go off the rails because that's all you think about night and day. And a lot of young guys, I see it, they come in, that's all they think about because they see those changes, and then as quick as they come in, as quick as they go as a result, because it gets too much.
I guess there's that fear of expectation in any aspect of life.
100%.
You start cracking at it. There's a large return on investments early on as you begin to practice.
Yep.
You get it under your belt, and then all of a sudden there's a bit of a plateau, and
Yes.
you have to go, well, what do I do now? And
Yep.
that's where the spin out can happen.
I've seen a lot of young fellas that come in and they look up to you to begin with, and they say, "Oh, how many have you done?" And you might tell them, "I've done 8, I've done 9." "Oh, that's so awesome. I want to do that. I want to do the same as you. That's really awesome." And because they see you go maybe sub 10 hours or something, and they strive and they get there, and then they start beating you within about 3 seasons. And they're absolutely, they're a talent above you. But you think, oh, this guy's going to be good. He's going to go professional. But then the next season you rock up, he's like, where's Jono, or where's Jack? Where's gone missing? Because again, they get that expectation, as you're saying, and too much pressure, thinking, oh man, I've gone close to 9. I can go like I see the professionals on TV. And this is where a big mistake comes from the young fellas. Age group racing is very unfair. Don't look at the next guy. Don't look at the guy, whoever's doing the event that goes low 9 hours, or he's looking to go professional, because you don't know what's happening in their life compared to your life. He may be living in mum and dad's basement. He may be having mum and dad pay for him. You may have different responsibilities. You may have a physical job. He may have an office job. And that also is a big contributor to why guys also come in fast and go out quick.
What was your toughest race?
Toughest? Yeah, I've had some tough ones. Toughest race would have been the week leading up to, I think it was 2018. I started coming down with a cough. And I remember by Wednesday before the race, it got really bad. And I went into the doctor and I said, oh, I need an x-ray. Something's not right. I just feel like, can you hear that when I breathe? It's like water in there. And he goes, oh, yeah, that doesn't sound good. So he sends me off to an x-ray. And that same day, I go back to him, and he says, see that cloud in your lungs? He says, you got pneumonia pretty bad. He says, don't race on Sunday. And I said, no, that's not going to happen. He gave me some antibiotics, which weren't working. And I remember getting to the race line on Sunday, and I felt absolutely terrible. I like really, really terrible. But I was in that mindset, like I said before, it's like, no, I've got to prove myself once a year. I've got to show people that no excuses. Don't tell me you're sick. You had a little runny nose and you couldn't do anything. If I'm saying that to people, I can't be any different. So I ended up doing the race, and I took some Panadol on the bike because it was horrible. It was horrible. And I ended up probably one of my best races at the same time, because I went sub 10 hours. I went 9 hours 58, and it was mentally the whole race, from I've never experienced this before, from the get-go of the gun to when you actually cross that finish line, that voice in your head just saying, you've got to stop. This hurts. This really, really hurts. And it just didn't stop all day. But that was the hardest race for the body, but also for the mind, because it's just like, no, I'm going again. I'm stepping. I'm just keep doing it. I got to keep doing it. People are watching me. I know if I pull out, I'm going to absolutely cop it, because I tell people they've got to rock up, even if they got a little runny nose or something's, not going right in life. You still finish off what you started. That was my hardest race. and probably my proudest race as in 2018.
Sounds pretty important to you to finish what you start.
100%. Yeah.
You're preaching to your children and to people who look up to you on Ironman.
Yes. Yeah. That's the biggest one. And that's not coming at a bad thing. It's just saying when something does get hard, and that's why, like I said, you sort of like I do a requalification that things in life will never go smoothly. You're always going to have a hiccup and stuff. You will get a bit stressed in life. And if you're going to start this journey, you finish the journey. You prove to yourself that you can do it, because it is, like I mentioned before, it's just mentally. The distances are long. You will make it. It's just a matter of rocking up and finishing off what you start. You will feel better for yourself for doing it. You'll cross that line and you'll say, I won't do another one. A day or two later, you'll probably think, you know what? I look back at that and just say, I can do stuff. You know, what was the greatest fear? You know, there was no fear. If I just, I faced it, conquered it, I can do anything now. What else can I do? You know?
I suppose it's hindsight.
Exactly.
Looking at it, you probably don't remember the painful parts. My own pre-seasons, my own runnings. You never remember the negatives. You only remember what you gained from it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think it makes you a better person at the end of the day. Yeah, I was stupid for racing with pneumonia, and I'm not going to tell anyone to race sick. But I know that up here that I'd say to myself when I do have a hard challenge in life that, I look back at that and say, you know what, if I can do that, I'll keep pushing through life. Yep.
How do you know if you're on or not? Do you ever rock up and you go,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That happens. Yeah. You notice that more, I'd say, more in short course than what you do in long course. Long course is such a long day. You could be on, but you could stuff up your pacing. You could say, okay, I should be going at 36 kilometers an hour on the bike, but I feel so good because it's the first time in ages you've tapered in months. And I'm going 38 kilometers an hour, and then things just go. But in short course racing, it's just, it's zone 4, zone 5, and you know that if your legs are switched on or not, you just start swimming and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm feeling average, but see, I go on the bike. And as soon as you start pushing the pedals, just like, oh, yeah, there's nothing there today. Even though you might have had a good taper or whatever, those days always come. And people who think they don't get those days, like you hear the cocky young athletes, those 18-year-old boys that can run sub 16 minutes, 5Ks, hear them say, oh, yeah, I had a good race. I won't have a bad race. I won't do this, but it's coming. It does come. Yep.
Does that just come down to your preparation, or do you think it comes more as you age as well?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think preparation's a big one. It's that taper effect, as you know, in sports science. You got to have a taper. You got to be able to freshen up and keep that fitness somehow up here. You will lose a little bit of fitness when you start tapering up, and you can get tapering. I mean, you could tell me you're the sports scientist, but it's so easy to mess up. Nearly every man and his dog is messed tapering up. And I say, and you look at studies and you think, nah, chuck them away, because the best study you can do is actually do the study on yourself in relation to what tapering works for you. I don't know. I still haven't figured it out. Like, I've had some good races, but man, I've rocked up to races and my legs just won't move. And you've had 2 weeks off, done hardly anything. If you can figure it out, and come up with the sports science behind it, let me know.
Yeah, well, it's always I always find it funny looking at literature reviews and things like that. 1 month away from finishing my master's degree, and you go through all this research and you get to the end of the paper, and there's very smart people, but you look right at the bottom and they go, but further research needs to be done on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you go, okay, cool, sweet. All right. So we didn't learn much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you reckon, well, this is a bit of a question as well. Is this going to be your last one, this next one?
I did Roth in the middle of the year, the full Ironman, and I did crash out, and that was going to be my swan song. And I did tell people that I didn't feel like doing any more, but because it was going to be my last one, and it's hard to let go because I went, just to back up the story real quickly. It's just pretty much I changed my training. I did something radical. There's always trade-offs. As you know, I train a lot indoors, and I changed it. I went outdoors for the first time. I didn't do any outdoor riding before this race, and my bike handling skills weren't the best. In Germany, there's a tight corner coming around about 110 kilometers an hour. And instead of the old saying, look where you want to go or you go where you look, well, I definitely went that way. So I went straight off about 60 kilometers an hour down a big embankment, and that was it, game over. I don't remember much after that. Yeah, I know, I haven't decided. Makes me think I just can't end the story there. But then again, how will it go if I go back? Will it, if I go back to do another one, how am I going to go? It might not, it, I think we all have these plans in place, but it's an unknown at the stage. I guess it happens in football stories. Does the footballer end on a losing grand final, or does he have another season left in him to go again to win that grand final the following year? You don't know if you might win it, or do you just end on a low? I don't know.
How tough will it be for you if you call it and you watch the event go ahead?
Yeah, it does a little bit. It does get a little bit tough, yeah. Because it's yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. That's probably why. I choose probably not to think about it at the moment. No, I think I'm happy with my decision not to race. I'll give it a couple of months. I'll do the short course season and see where I'm at. And then if I still got that itch or that excitement left in me, I'll go again.
Do you know who Chris Bumstead is?
No, I haven't.
No, he's 6-time Mr. Olympia, one of the greatest sort of bodybuilders of our current generation. And he recently retired after his last win. And he got asked in an interview, would you have retired if you hadn't won? And he said, it didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, right. That's good to hear. Geez, yeah. That's good. And from somebody who's probably on top of the game and that many wins, I guess. I mean, he's not an age group, but yeah, when's enough? Like you mentioned to me before, when's enough is enough. Yeah, you just never know that question, do you?
What would the perfect conditions be for you to leave?
That I do. I like if I did a race, maybe not at Busselton now, maybe go to Texas or something and do a race, and then nearly everything sort of goes to plan. You have a swim that I like to do a swim maybe under 106 or something. I'm not the greatest swimmer, but you ride your bike, everything goes to plan. Your stomach is functioning. You have a gel, water, and when you get off the bike, you don't feel any GI distress. Your legs feel okay. They're always going to feel a bit beaten up. And then when you run, there's no walking. Like, I think the last couple of Ironmans, I at least walked a couple of times. I mean, an aid station here, an aid station there, and never had the best run I could. And I think because I've always had really good bikes and I've had some good swims as well, and maybe one or two good runs out of those 19. So I reckon even if you have a bad swim day, an average bike day, but you get off the bike and you have a good run day, you can walk away from that sport and go, you know what? I ran a 3:10 marathon as an age grouper, training 10 hours a week. I could walk away from this sport. That's the only thing I wanted to leave Rothlin, because I know in Roth, I was averaging my fastest bike ever. And I remember you seeing me in the gym, I was starting to lift heavier weights on my legs and I was putting it all together. And I thought I could leave this sport because my biking, I'm going to have a great day here. My biking feels absolutely fantastic, but it didn't happen. So I guess, yeah, something good like that, maybe a good run, I'd be happy to walk away.
Let's throw it out there. You compete one more time, you PR. Are you still walking away?
Big call. This is where the conundrum is, because you go, I've got to write everything I did that last month. What did I do? What was that taper? Oh, I remember Tuesday I did this, Wednesday I did this. And you'd do it and you'd go, I found it. I found the secret. I know what works for me. that's what would keep you thinking about doing another one because you finally cracked the code to say. So, oh, good question, mate. I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Has the sport been good to you?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I went from 83 kilo police officer, eating McDonald's, overweight, fat face, um, back down to what am I now, 68 kilos. Had my VO2 measured a couple of years ago. It was 70.6. So I'm guessing I'm about 68 now. Yeah, much happier in life. Plenty of energy to play with my kids, grandkids, stuff like that. Yeah, and mentally, I reckon mentally, especially for men, not all, but most, I think any sort of like endurance or tough sort of sport like that is so good on our mental health. I wouldn't change it for the world or any decisions I make. And there's been some wrong ones, but definitely this one would be, I'd leave it alone.
What are some of the negatives? You mentioned earlier, we don't speak about the negatives of Ironman. What are the major negatives of the sport?
Yeah, yeah, there is some. Like I said, that if you look at a guy who's coming in about his mid-30s or 30s, they're usually filling a void. There's something's happened, like, "Oh, okay, I want to get fit like I did," or they might have a breakup with the missus or whatever, and they're coming in to fill a void, and they want to do something for their health. They come in, they do it, they go all out, but as a result of going all out and being totally focused, it actually spirals and goes, yeah, does the opposite to what they achieving to want. So instead of being totally fit, what happens? You'll finally find they get complete burnout. And these guys, I've seen it, and even some of these, they come in, they're friends with you, they're friends with the club, and they're like, oh, all in. I'll volunteer to do this. I'll do this race. But as a result, they resent the sport because they've gone too hard, and that burnout, they just become a totally different beast. They don't talk to anybody. They don't want to. They take you off social media, and they just walk out at the back door. So that's one of them. The second one is probably injury again, but those injuries are from people who don't pay attention to the niggles. As you know, I don't know what it is. You could probably tell me more. For some reason, you start getting a pain inside your knee, or you feel it in your shin, and you go, "Oh, it's not there. It's not there. I can go past that." I don't know what that is.
I guess in athletes who are highly tuned and want to compete and are highly competitive, you're more looking at a psychology thing, but it's athletes want to compete. You don't have to push them to get into the gym. And at that stage, I think athletes almost become a danger to themselves.
Yep.
Because they're overtraining, they're pushing their bodies past their limitations or their current loads because they want to get better. But unfortunately, probably the education isn't there about load and how much impact we're actually putting on our
Yep.
bodies.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, you're dead right. And geez, that would be good to. That would be good to, like you're saying, education point of that would probably be beneficial in our sport for sure.
I don't think we'll ever have to do a study on load management within overweight individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they're pretty safe. It's athletes who there's lots of interviews done with athletes who say, if you're one of my teammates and I have to fight you to get you in the gym, I don't want you on my team, right? Athletes have a competitive nature. They want to be there. People who don't want to be there, don't be in the gym. They're probably not going to get long-term load management issues. They're probably, if they are going to compete, they're going to get acute load issues
Yep.
on the course.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where I find, like I said, age group racing so different with also professionals, and people shouldn't look at other age groupers and see what they're doing and try to match that because, again, what's their background, how many hours they got to devote. And you'll see that with coaches, their coaches would be like, because they're trying to obviously get a bit of money in, that they'll put a top athlete that can probably take that load, has probably got some background, some base load behind them a few seasons. Look how well Sharon's doing. She's just went sub 10 in an Ironman World Championships. They don't say, anything about her. And then they bring an athlete in, and then the athlete, a little bit of a niggle, but the coach will push them. No, you've got to go do another 10Ks in the afternoon. And they go, okay, I'll do another 10K. oh, this is getting a bit worse, but the coach says it's fine. I've got to do another thing. And then as a result, they find out, oh, you got shin splints. Or one girl I know, bottom, she was feeling pain in her glute. And then they say, oh, you got a fracture through your pelvis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they go, F this sport.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like this, you know, the coach was this and triathlon sucks. And you're like, yep, but they won't, you know, nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about, oh yeah, this person was overloaded. She was doing well. She was running 3-minute 30 Ks for a girl that age is outstanding. Nobody's going to beat her if we keep pushing her and pushing her. Gone. Yeah.
Improper coaching can lead to improper results.
Yep.
Yeah. If you had any tips to give to someone who's competing in their first Ironman, second Ironman, what would it be?
Your first one, I'd say just enjoy it. Like, I know everyone says it, but for some reason, you just forget the finish line. You forget that last 100 meters where all the crowd is. You're running on that empty carpet, and you're thinking, you should be thinking, you know what, slow down. Don't worry about the guy coming behind you who might steal one extra place and you finish 22nd or 21st. It doesn't matter. Enjoy that because you won't remember it, and you need to soak it up to say, you know, look at what I've just achieved. Look at what I've just achieved. This is awesome. Walk down that carpet, do a few high fives. Don't go sprinting down there because you got some guy. I mean, I can understand if you're going for a world championship spot and you're 1 or 2, but if you're a mid-30s place or it's your first one, slow down, enjoy it, because I never did it. And I know so many other athletes who didn't do it. And you think, you know what? Nobody was behind me. Who cares if my time was 9 hours, 34 minutes and 35 seconds compared to 9 hours, 35? Nobody gives a you know, flying stuff. So yeah, enjoy the moment, be consistent. Don't reach for a coach if you don't need to. Try to enjoy your training. Your first year, just go out, try to fit 2 bikes in, 2 runs, 2 swims. You'll probably agree with me. I think strength training is overlooked, and I think strength training would be number 1.
Absolutely.
100%. I think no matter what age you are, strength training is probably number 1. Drop the extra swim set, go do some weights, and you probably will enjoy the day better. And I guess your second season, you can then just roll into more of okay, now we start putting a plan together. Maybe we have a 12-month plan. We start looking at more consistent training, more hours. But your first one, just enjoy. Just, okay, I feel like a long ride today. I'll eventually get up to 180. Don't go for 180 5 weeks out. Do 180K once. You know, you only have to do that long ride in training once. Every other ride, cut it down. Have time with your wife. Spend time with your kids. Enjoy it.
And if you could speak to yourself when you first started, would the advice be different?
I'd say when you hit that finish shoot, completely stop and just high five everyone and just like turn around, wave, you know, enjoy it. That would be the only thing, 100%.
Jason, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Beautiful. Hopefully have you on again in the future after you've done your last one. And we can speak about
don't pressure me, mate. Don't pressure me. But yeah, thanks very much. Cheers, Karen.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.